We're going to start then. We're going to start with this sort of self-massage exercise. It's always a good way of easing into the think of as the mindset, also to obviously prepare your body for the movement. So just standing comfortably, rubbing your hands together and the palm of your hand being a little bit warm, and then tapping lightly over your face. Trying to leave your jaw a little bit loose as you do this. Then up over your head and neck, I'm using the palms of my hand here. Down to one shoulder, tapping your shoulder, let your arm hang down. Just feel how the muscles start to vibrate a little bit, right down the inside of your arm, the outside. And then move to the other shoulder. And then your arm. One hand or both hands on the lower part of your back. Very gently as you tap over the kidneys. Around your hips. I'm using my fist now, but you can use the palms of your hands and the outside of your legs, not the inside. And then come to your body again, nice and light on your belly. The upper part of the chest. And then coming back to standing, have a little think about your posture. So you want to try and have your feet directly below your hips, hip width apart. Imagining parallel lines from shoulders to hips, feet. You could take that line to the outside of your foot or to the inside of your foot or anywhere in between. So whatever's most comfortable for you. Remember that we're all slightly different in our structure. So what works for an individual will vary. The principle is that you've got the support from your feet for your hips and for your shoulders. Try and have your weight a little bit forwards in your feet and just allow your hips to settle back. This is slightly exaggerated, but I want you to see what's happening. I just allow my hips to drop almost like I'm just resting on a fence or the edge of a table, just to let my center of gravity drop. And this is the basic posture that we work in and around. Then bringing your attention to the center of your body and turning gently. One of the characteristics for me, the postures that we take in Tai Chi, is that it feels like there's more space within the body. So whether we're thinking of the sort of mechanical movements of muscles and joints, what we might think of as more kind of metabolic movements, breathing, digestion, these are all functions that require space for movement. Or whether we're looking a little bit sort of more subtly at this and getting a sense for the momentum, the flow, the energy that builds through the body as we begin to move. All of these things need space if they're going to happen without straining. We don't want to get to a point where we're fighting against our own bodies to say breathe or to move around. It can often feel that way. And posture is a key element in starting to move towards this more harmonious movement. We want to think about how we're moving. it's very easy in our lives to pick up habits of straining. And this is particularly true if you've had an injury to a particular part of your body, or you still have, or you have some kind of condition that makes movement difficult, then it's quite natural that we would have been straining a little bit to overcome those difficulties. But we want to try and avoid that. So in the first instance, as we begin to move, try and have a sense for how much space there is for that movement, and only move that far. So if I'm turning, I can turn to here and it's fine. If I turn a bit further, there's a pull on my back at the moment. And that may well dissolve away within a few minutes, and as my posture sort of deepens. But for the moment, that's as far as I can move. And one way of looking at the way that our range of movement builds is, and it's almost like water running down a hill. You think of water running down a hill, it will make a little channel for itself, and eventually that channel may become a river. A process of dissolving away barriers, process of eroding away barriers, rather than straining and pushing hard. The image of water is one that we commonly use in Tai Chi. We was though when we move through water, we move like water, we look for the path of least resistance. So these are all ideas and images that we want to try and establish as we start the session. And this is a good exercise for doing that with, because it's very straightforward. It's not a complicated exercise. We just want to try and maintain the stance, turn gently from the center of the body. One thing that we might want to play with, and please do this very gently, this is not meant to be a strong exercise. If you look at my knees, you see there's just a slight curve in my knees. I'm going to exaggerate a bit, so I'm not expecting you to go down this deep. And as I turn, what I'm going to do is pull my knees back till they start to lock up, and then let my hips drop back. Knees will curve again. And just noticing the effect this has on your body as you do this. What I notice is as I pull my knees back this way, my body sort of locks up. I can't move. So this basic posture that we take with our hips dropping back, and I feel that our center of gravity dropping down, what we're rooting down into the cheek, is really important. And I would urge anybody, whether you're new to this or whether you're more experienced, to kind of consider this idea. We're trying to just maintain that slight drops through the center of the body to allow the center of gravity to drop, and to really see that as key to this sense of space within the body. Now, turn one foot out and step forward with the other foot. Keep the width of your step about the same length. And now just begin to transfer your weight from one foot to another. From the side, this, it feels to begin with like a little bit of a push. This brings our legs more actively into the movement, and we transfer the weight, which is something we'll come back to later. And the sense that I would describe as moving from the ground. Quite often when we move, and there's good reasons for this again, but we often sort of like lean forwards with our shoulders. We initiate the movement by leaning forwards. And that can be very helpful sometimes, but take it too far and it makes us very unstable. So again, we want to just reconsider how we're moving, to think about this a little bit and get this feeling of, so I describe it sometimes, moving from the ground. And then change over. So these opening exercises, they have a little aerobic quality. They help us to warm up physically a little bit, but they're also a chance just to go over basic principles, movement, posture, and to for those of us who are more experienced in Tai Chi, to remind ourselves of these principles and of their huge significance. When I say basic, it doesn't suggest that we leave them behind. They're very fundamental to everything. Just shake it out. So I said earlier that we can imagine parallel lines running down through the side of the body. We can imagine the center line going through. We can imagine vertical lines, the floor, our hips, bottom of the rib cage, our shoulders, mentally constructing a kind of 3D map that look like the grid lines on a map. That helps just orientate ourselves in the environment that we're going to be in. When I say straight lines, I don't mean to imply that there are actual straight lines. So just standing, feeling that your legs are supporting you, trying to get that feeling of your weight dropping. And feel that your back supports the front of your body. So don't pull your belly in, tighten in your chest. And again, that helps with things like your breathing. It's the space, there's less restriction to your breathing. So you may feel your breathing becomes a bit deeper, a bit smoother. And that's perhaps an indication that there are other functions within the body that are also beginning to move more easily. Letting your attention settle in to your body. So we want to be aware of what we're doing. These are intentions. Bringing body and mind together. Clear, quiet space. Just aware of any areas of your body that feel a bit stiff or a bit tight. You want to go very gently with those areas. You don't want to push hard against them. Again, think of water flowing down a landscape and gradually wearing away a rock or a barrier or something. And then letting your hips drop back a little bit more, going down. Your knees will bend more, but not too much. And then feeling the response to that, which is to push back up. Allowing gravity to draw your weight down, your hips down. And feeling the response from your legs. It's almost like being in water, where if you drop down in water, eventually you reach a point where you feel the water pushing you up. And let that settle into a nice, steady, easygoing rhythm. Bringing your hands around where you're cradling the ball and pushing up. Letting your elbows go out so you're lifting the ball, and then as though you're pressing the ball down. This is an exercise simply called rooting down. Rooting down is physically to do with the dropping of our center of gravity in the mind, bringing our attention to our feet, to the ground. And then feeling that from that there's a more stable quality to our posture. But also like a plant growing out of its root. We feel that the push up and our body expanding out. Again, there's this idea of moving from the ground. Rooting down is one of the primary core principles that we want to try and work with in Tai Chi. And it's an ongoing process. You know, over 40 years of practice and playing with Tai Chi, I wouldn't say that I've reached a point where I'm fully rooted. You may find your breathing settles into a nice steady harmony with the movement. Some people like to make a definite breathing pattern. If that suits you, then try and breathe in as you push up, breathe out as you settle down. However, not everybody finds that comfortable. So if it doesn't work for you, there's plenty of other things to think about. And you should never force the breath. So don't hold your breath. Don't breathe artificially slowly. It's better to feel that your breathing is natural, comfortable, And even if it doesn't do so straight away, you'll find that in time it will harmonise the two. This time, when you reach the bottom of the movement, rotate your hands so your fingers point away from your body and chop. This is the movement of the wild goose. So I've already mentioned the idea of moving through water. Now we have an additional image, this one of the bird in flight, which, like all the images, if they work for you, they can convey certain qualities. But they may not work for you straight away. Don't worry if they don't. There's plenty of different images that we use. Another image that may work for you, and particularly people with a bit more experience, is to imagine that you're still in water up to shoulder height and there's a ball underneath each arm. And what you want to try and do as you sink down is you're, without straining, you're pressing that ball down. And then the buoyancy of the water pushes the ball up and you just let it come up very slowly and gently. At no point should we be trying to stiffen up in big muscles in our body, you know, biceps, triceps in the arms, deltoid and trapezius. The intention is always to try and just soften those muscles, to relax those muscles. And with that, starting to get a sense of what else is involved in our movement and our structure. Because there's more than just those muscles that we can use. And then let your hands drop down, across the front of your belly and push up. So we can begin to recognize, become aware of other parts of the body. Tendons and ligaments may engage them. Skeletal muscle, fascia, the bones themselves. And more subtly, this connected movement, this sense that I described earlier as a momentum or flow or an energy. These are all factors come together so that as we move, the effort, moving, a sort of load, if you like, begins to spread more evenly, more deeply through the body. This one is called Parting the Clouds. Now, let your hands drop down, bring your attention to one side, and as you push up, push your arm up, wrap your fingers around like you're plucking something off a tree, and pull down. Your hand comes to the full length, bring your attention to the center of your body for a moment, and then to the opposite side. Dragon plucks the stars from the sky. So again, just where the center of your body, and then to the rest. Again, people more familiar with these arts, as you bring your attention to that central part, we're also looking for that feeling of releasing in our hips, just for a moment. And so there's just this sense of settling and quietening in mind and body, punctuating. So dragon plucks the stars, trying not to rush change from one side to another. One more time on each side. letting your hips drop back a little bit. It's not a deep stance for the next couple of exercises. Bring your hands so that they touch. The inside of your hand where your arm touching the side of your hip, center of your hip. And from there, bring your hands around, pushing up, lengthening gently through your back. So don't fully extend, notice my elbows are still very much bent. Coming back, and again, just lightly touching the side of your hips. And then lifting and pushing out, and this time turning so that you redirect your arms, coming back. And again, this little comma in the sentence, touch your hips. Seeking the stillness within the movement. And then push out, facing forwards. It's called pushing in four directions. When we do this, when we work in this way with these little moments, and it's only a split second of settling, remember that we're beginning to encourage, to cultivate those aspects of our physiology, areas like the nervous system and so on, that enable us to develop a sense of calmness and of stillness. The ideal in Tai Chi, of course, would be that we never lose that. But of course, in practical terms, we lose it all the time. So learning that we can come back to this is a really important benefit of Tai Chi. Not only do we learn that we can come back, but we recognize that this central part of the body and its feeling of dropping towards the ground is potentially a location for that settling. The more familiar we become with the route to that location, the more effective it's going to be. Like if you have a favorite place in your local park that you like to go and sit in. If you go there regularly, you know the way, you don't have to think about it too much. And it's much more relaxed process to get there. So here we learn that when we turn in the center of our body, we move our arms. I mentioned earlier this idea of moving from the ground. The center of your body is the next sort of stage in that. Anything coming up from the ground has to pass through the center. It becomes sort of hub of the wheel. So again, there's an encouragement to reassess how we're moving, how we're standing, through the whole of our body. This time, the hand come down again, just on one side, and again with the feeling moving from the center. Your arm gets pushed out, swings up, palm of your hand facing upwards and outwards, and then straight down the middle of your body. Feeling the weight of your arm hanging and then pushing out. Extensions through that side of your body. Almost like you're stretching out a giant elastic band. Still with your hips dropping back, weight a little bit forwards in your feet. And this time, just turn a little bit again. Notice how that brings your arm across. Remind yourself when you turn, you're moving within the space that's available to you. Try not to strain in your hip, your back, your shoulder. And change sides. The quality of the movement, again, as though you're moving through or like water. It's sometimes described as though you're being gently massaged within your body. Sometimes the movement, the energy is described as bathing, washing the internal tissues. It's all images and ideas that point us towards this quality of movement that we're trying to generate. So as we begin to turn, we're trying to sustain that. Turn too far and you'll lose it. And again, there will be a gradual increase in the range. More time. So far, all the movements that we've done have been in this upright position, but we're going to change that very gently. Just push your hips back a little bit. Your pelvis will tilt, and that will bring your head and shoulders forwards. And then just allow gravity to pull your hips back down. So from this forwards position, we don't want to strain in our back or our neck. This is a very smooth movement. Think about that line from your shoulders to your hips. And think about how you're coming to the upright position. If this represents the center line of my body, I mentioned that earlier, then actually what happens is this. And from here, it's as though somebody pushes down on the back of the pole. And as they do that, my head comes up. So we're trying to come up, not with a stiffening, a straining in our back, our shoulders, neck, but again, by allowing the hips to drop back. Once again, recognizing the significance of this rotation movement in the center of the body. This time, a vertical rotation. And go very carefully with this. It's unusual. And remember that massaging quality as your hips go back, your head goes forwards, and a gentle extension, lengthening through your back and your spine. This time, drop down just a little bit, and then let your hips drop back and push up. So 3 stages now: 1, 2, and 3. Go as far as you're comfortable moving. I'm doing this quite big, so hopefully you can see what's going on. But always remember, we want to feel the space within the body. So even at the extent of the movement, you should feel as though you could have moved a little bit further. And that's more important than making a big movement itself. This is a strong movement, so please be careful with your knees and your back. And this time, at the movement, push your hands up, lowering that lengthening through the back, extending now through your arms and fingers. This is rowing a boat in the middle of the lake. Pushing up, hips going back, sinking down. So don't think of this as leaning forwards. If I do this and I lean forwards, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to fall over very quickly. So by hips going back, we manage to keep our center of gravity over our legs. Again, don't go too far. And again, coming up, not by straining, but by allowing gravity to draw our hips down. One more time. Remembering that massaging quality of the movement. It's time. Hands resting in front of you, turn. Then push the hips back. Swinging your hips across gently. Let them drop down on that side. This is polishing the table, change direction. Again, I'm doing this quite big so that you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully, it's not a suggestion that everybody should be extending this far. Listen to your body. Move as far as is appropriate and comfortable. In the back, see, again, I'm exaggerating, pushing my hips back, swinging around, my hips drop down, and back. Same thing in the other direction. And again, there's this little moment just resting in the center, that moment where we can feel our hips once again settling down. And with that, this sort of sense of just quiet. One more in each direction. Good, and then the hands drop down. So there are various elements that we bring into this, not just the physicality of the art, though that is very important, but also the awareness that we bring, the changing perspective that we might bring to the movements. We want to be able to cultivate this still quality. These can be seen as movement meditations as well as physical exercises. In the sense of the movement, the flow within the body, which provides a link to traditional Chinese medicine and its view of the body as having energy flowing through it, and its intention to harmonize that flow of energy. So there's various things that we bring in. It's not just a physical art in sense. And just so a little bit more complicated, take a slightly wider stance. Notice that my feet are now turned out. Again, letting your hips drop and just moving your weight from side to side. So I'm going to do a movement called Parting the Wild Horse's Mane. And one of the things that we want to bring to these movements, especially as they get more complex, is that quality of stillness, not rushing the movement. So each time your weight lands in one foot, then there's just a moment of settling. This is easily overlooked. In a busy life, we can often go from one task to another, from one thing to another, and never actually take the time to start or finish something completely. And again, at that point, we're not cultivating those parts of our body and mind that are concerned with calming down, with quieting. We see that almost like a kind of additional extra that will, how many times have we said to ourselves, I'll sit down and rest when I've done this, I've done that. Quite often we sit down, suddenly remember some else. In Tai Chi, we don't see that there's a conflict between that quality of stillness and the movement, the activity. We seek the stillness within the movement. But again, in practical terms, it's very easy to set. So a good habit to get into is when your weight arrives on one leg, just take a moment to settle. You might want to take more than a moment. You might want to just rest there for a little while, releasing in your hips and your knees. Begin to feel push back up. If you practice this, you'll find that these actions, these qualities of stillness come to you more frequently and more easily and more quickly. And we realize that actually just taking a moment, just a moment to settle doesn't actually take that long. We often think, I haven't got time to relax, I haven't got time to rest. But it's the difference between this and this. It's a split second. And as we're about to find out, in that split second, that's when we can begin to build up the more complex movements. Actually aids the activity. So coming into your left foot, mirror my movements, and then just turn. You're turning around that center. Come into your right foot and turn. So again, not turning too far. Bring your hands to position where, once again, resting on your hips, feeling movement. Even though the hands are resting, your body's moving, so there's this very dynamic quality in the arms and the hands that we're going to build on. So at this point here, come into your right, turn your left hand palm down. As you go into your left, let the left hand swing out and up, shoulder height, come back, bringing your hand across your chest, and at the end of the movement, as you turn, turning your hands in to hold the ball, move across into your left foot. And do the same thing on the other side. You move in, swinging the right hand out, your left hand drops down until it's again resting in front of your hip. Come back, hold the ball, move across, carry the ball with you, turn. Part in the wild horse's mane. So again, like you're stretching out an elastic band. And then letting it contract, feeling the movement across your chest and your upper back. Moving to your left. It has quite a strong feel to it. These images of moving through water, stretching the elastic bands, not only offer kind of quality of movement, fluidity, elasticity, but also begin to help us to condition the body, to build what in Tai Chi we refer to as inner strength or inner resilience. The image of the horse, tail flowing, the mane flowing, again may bring quality to the mood. Horse is sometimes seen as a sort of image of tireless, constant movement and energy. This is a movement that has been adapted from the Tai Chi sequences, Tai Chi forms. Remember, from the ground, not from your shoulders, moving the weight, turning the body. Take your time, don't rush movement. Remember that stillness. Coming back to this. And in the moment, Tai Chi is a very physical art, and you're feeling very strong in your legs. Go carefully. The idea is not to put strain on your knees and your ankles. It's not the joints that should be taking the load and putting the effort in. You want the joints, hips, shoulders, knees, ankles, elbows, wrists. We want them to be able to transmit the movement, to allow free passage for the movement. Think of the joints of your body as being like the hinges on the door. It's not the hinges that hold the house up. The hinges swing freely. It's the structure of the house that supports the hinges, not the other way around. This is important. You may find the muscles of your legs are beginning to ache. Now, from the parallel stance, imagine parallel lines going across the room this time. Turn your left foot out, step forwards with your right foot, roughly square in stance. And once again, transferring your weight from one foot to another. And once again, just taking a moment to settle. And again, feeling that this moment of settling, these moments of stillness, aren't something that are separate from the movement. That these two aspects are very much integrated and harmonized. When we move again, moving up tight, try not to lean forwards. Imagine again doing this in water. So as you go forwards, you feel the pressure of the water against the front of your body. And then as you go back, you feel that same pressure back. Going into your back foot, then just raise the front toes, so a bit more of your weight settles into the back foot. Got the front foot turned out, so you go forwards, push your back knee forward so your heel comes up. Gradually looking for that alignment and that rooting more over one leg than the other, and eventually settling in with most of your weight through that supporting leg. Keeping your pelvis level. You may remember the grid lines that I described. So we align ourselves with the pull of gravity. But if I go to here and I leave, I'm going to fall over. Yeah. Take your time. So again, when we settle into the leg, when we look for that sense of stillness, it's not a passive thing. It's the stillness that allows us just to recognize our posture. Then step it in. Shout, put the heel down, lower the ball of the foot, gently press the foot into the floor. This time, when you step back, it's the ball of your foot that goes down, then your heel, then the press. So you're walking on thin ice. And we call this planting the foot. It's getting used to really establishing that sense of being grounded through the leg. The other side. Again, for people more experienced with this, that planting of the foot can take place even without the step. And I'll move my weight into my back foot. I plant, I gently press down through the leg and the foot, and then my weight moves. Same thing, obviously, with the back foot. Again, this is has a physical element of helping our stability. It also really encourages that awareness of moving from the ground and what's happening in our feet and our legs, something that we easily overlook. And it really helps to cultivate that ability to retain a sense of stillness, a sense of spaciousness. Raising your toes and your heel. Stepping in. Try not to think of balancing. Think of finding a posture that enables you to root down and to be stable. To align yourself with the pull of gravity, to release in areas like the hips, your back, and your shoulders to allow your center of gravity to drop, rather than straining against gravity. That struggle that we're inevitably going to lose. And then either going forwards and backwards, take a few steps through here, bring your foot in and out, arms in. I talked about now, you're walking on thin ice, you test the ice first before you commit your weight. So it's shorter than normal step because of that. Could also be likened to walking in the sea, just paddling, being careful of your placement of your foot. And then changing direction. And then taking your time. You might find it helpful sometimes to just place the toes down, which means you can just again take a moment to settle into the supporting leg. If you do that, don't let your weight shift. Bring them in. We can now begin to build on that. One of the problems we encounter is as soon as we bring our upper body back into the movement, it dominates. So we want to try and maintain an awareness of what's happening in the beat, in the background. Have your right foot forwards. Start with your weight back, fold your hands over your belly. Push forwards and let that movement push your elbows out, and that will draw your hands apart. Separating them out, they're spread out. It's called pigeon spreads its wings. And then coming back, drawing your hands in. The side, look at this. Your hands don't go behind your shoulders. Under your elbows. If you do that, you will tend to tighten up in your chest. Earlier, I mentioned the breathing, and this is an exercise that may help people with their breathing. My suggestion would be, if you want to work with that, round about here, just see how it feels to take a breath in. If it doesn't feel comfortable, it should be it. Don't hold your breath, just breathe out whenever feels appropriate. But when we do this and we get that sense of expansion, of opening, belly, solar plexus, chest, we may find that our movement and our breathing really begin to harmonize. Pigeon spreads its wings. It's time to think back, let your hands drop down. You can wave your arms hanging from your shoulders. As you push forwards, your weight lands in your front foot, the arms just get back. It's called pigeons. This is called fisherman castanet, I beg your pardon. And as you settle into the front foot, as though your hands are being pushed away from your body. Look, again, like those elastic bands from the hips to your wrists. Noticing how your arms just naturally swing up as they do that. Same idea as you move back. Starting to get this lovely wave-like quality of movement flowing through. Both of these movements, the arms are following the forward and backward transfer of our weight. It's one of the main driving energies. And we're facing forward, so our arms are moving forwards and backwards. This time go into your back foot, turn to your right towards your front leg, and that redirects your arms again. Going forwards, you settle in, you feel the expansion, your arms pushed away from your body. This is called wind blows the willows. So again, don't rush this movement, go forwards, settle in to your front leg, turn. Feel the movement building from the ground, feet, through the center of your body, into your upper body, not the other way around. Check. Very, very common when we do a movement like that to find that we end up, oh, I've got to do with my arm. Remember that quality of stillness within the movement. And remember that our connection to the ground, our awareness of the ground, our awareness of our feet, of our weight, are key elements in cultivating that stillness. Now, have your left foot forward, same set of exercises. Starting with pigeon spreads its wings. Okay, so you're moving through water. Okay, so you're stretching out the elastic band here, making it contract very slowly. In the pattern of expansion and contraction in front of your body, expanding here, and then as you come back, expanding in the back body as well. Try not to stiffen up in your shoulders, your arms, fingers. And moving through. One more time. Your hands drop down. Fisherman casting. As you settle into the front foot and your arms spring up, turn. Your hands drop down as you come back, settle into your back foot, turn. Wind blows. Your arms are pushed out from your body, naturally swing up, not to strain in your shoulders, allowing your weight to sink down. And we're going to combine this with the step-in that we did earlier. So this time, turn your front foot out a bit, go forwards. As you settle in and turn, push your back knee in and bring your foot in. Remember, nice and stable over one leg. Step through, plant the foot, pause, letting your hands drop, turning, bringing the empty foot. You could be going backwards, depends where you have. Again, Bring your foot in. And maybe, if it's comfortable for you, just raising the foot a little bit. And then step out. It's called dragonfly skin stability. By no means vital to raise the legs. Far more important to feel that you've got that stability over one leg, whether the foot's lightly touching the floor or whether it's raised up. Stepping back. Remember, we're looking for stability, balance. Comes the settling in, take your time. Only raise the foot if you're comfortable. Once again, forwards and backwards or backwards and forwards. Change direction. Dragonfly skins. And one of the things, of course, we find with an exercise like that, which is quite a tricky exercise, is those moments of wobbling. It would be perhaps nice to think that we never have these little wobbles in our lives, either physically or mentally. Unrealistic to think that, but perhaps there's many things in our lives that might just cause that to cause us to lose the physical stability, the sense of being centered and being still. And Tai Chi is an art that enables us to find those qualities again, to enable us to continue to do whatever we're doing. Because no suggestion here that we're going to just reject those things. You know, sometimes the things that knock us off our center bit are really important to us. The last exercise really emphasizes an aspect that I think is really important in Tai Chi, which is this ability to return, to come back to these qualities of being rooted, of being aligned, of being quiet, a little bit calmer, having a sense, a bit more space in mind and body. It's called Embrace Tiger, Return to the Mountain. You might think of the mountain as encapsulating many of these qualities that we're looking to cultivate. So begin by just sinking down and then push up, feeling expansion in your body. At the top of the movement, let your arms come around as though you're going to hold a ball against your chest. Drawing in, squeezing the ball in, turning your hands palm down, your hips drop, followed by your shoulders. And then embrace tiger, return to the mountain. Give yourself time and space just to feel how it is. Come back. What draws you back to your center? The image of the mountain, memory of that quality of movement. The feeling of the pull of gravity on your hips, back. What things would be most useful to you later in the day? What would help you in those moments when we really do with a touch of stillness? What would be most useful to you? Once again, just try to find that sense of stillness. Lovely. Thank you very much for joining in, everybody. As always, please do get in touch if you have any questions. But for now, let's enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.